Hello and welcome. Sye Rodriguez here, and wanted to speak with you today about local versus vegan on the carbon footprint of the planet. And first of all, let's go ahead and get right into what I was feeling today. I was just thinking about how I'm always being told by certain groups of people that you should eat local and that bananas aren't local, for example. A number of people are kind of members of this club that's maybe it's not a club that you join, but you kind of agree with this club that you're going to shop local so that you can do a favor to the planet and lower your carbon footprint. Now, here's where it gets into territory that makes me laugh at the very least, and in the worst case scenario, just think it's ridiculous and sad that people have bought into this philosophy, but they don't see the bigger picture about what they're doing. And what I want to point out is my beef with beef. If you are eating a plant-based diet, primarily vegan diet or a vegan diet, my understanding and based upon some of the research that I've done, it's something like 7 times less of a carbon footprint on the planet than compared to a person who eats meat. Now, if you go organic vegan, then we're talking like 17 times less of a carbon footprint, or 1/17th of the carbon footprint that you would have on the planet compared to anybody who is eating meat. So if a person is bragging about the fact that they eat local and they're eating beef, then it's time to learn, because you probably didn't know this. And I'm going to just recommend to you that you see a movie called Cowspiracy just to understand. And I want to be clear here that I'm not out to put you down as a person and say you're a worse person than I am if you eat meat. I grew up eating meat, and I understand that it's part of our culture and most cultures, and that most people don't really think about it, that it's just something taken for granted. This is what we do. And then the media pushes on the people that, or a lot of sources of media push on people that you need protein and you can't get complete protein, or you're not going to get the right kind of protein or amino acids if you don't eat meat. Well, I can definitely attest to the fact that it's not true. I've been vegetarian since 1996 and vegan a lot of that time, and straight vegan now as an experiment, meaning not having any dairy or any dairy, because I wasn't eating eggs or anything like that before. Since 1996, and now I eat 100% vegan, meaning that I am a strict vegetarian. I don't eat anything that comes from an animal. And I'm fine. Not only am I fine, my performance athletically is great, and in my group of peers, I'm definitely doing good. And so are some of the people around me, but I definitely am not having a big challenge to keep up with people who are not vegan. So let's go back to the point here. If you eat meat, you are doing a terrible disservice to the environment. And that doesn't make you a bad person from my perspective, like I say. But if you are thinking that you're reducing your carbon footprint by eating locally and you're eating beef or some other kind of animal product, you're really not making the kind of difference that you think you are. In fact, it is really nothing in the broad scope of things. And you'll find out if you watch that movie Cowspiracy. But the thing that I think is really important to be aware of is that if you were to do everything that you have heard of besides just going to a plant-based diet, to reduce your carbon footprint. And I mean everything that you've ever heard of that's ever been popularized by the whole global warming movement. And the only thing you didn't do was go vegan. You would barely make a difference in your carbon footprint on the earth. But if you went vegan, you would make a huge difference. In fact, it is the difference that can be made about your carbon footprint. And of course, I think that's an important thing for everybody to consider. You know, how is their life affecting their environment? And on the other hand, I'm not a person who is thinking that global warming is strictly man-made. In fact, I can just think to the fact that there's been an ice age and say, okay, global warming or planetary climate change really doesn't seem to have a lot to do with people, as much as it just has to do with cycles of nature or our solar system. So one way or another, that's my particular feeling about global warming. So I'm not here to preach to you about global warming. But what I am saying is, if you really want to make a difference on our planet, then forget about shopping local. Forget about all of these little tiny things that you've been told will make a difference, like changing your light bulbs. Instead, go for the one thing that really makes a difference so far beyond any of the other things that you could do that you don't even have to think about shopping local anymore. It's not about local at all. It's about not contributing to the type of companies that are basically destroying our environment. And the biggest destroyer of our environment and of our planet, if you really want to look at it that way, is the whole animal eating industry. So stop eating animals, you'll make a bigger difference, and you don't need to think about eating locally. You need to think about eating quality and getting your food from people who care, no matter where it comes from in the world. So on that note, bananas from Ecuador, a way better choice than beef from anywhere in the world, even if it was grown in your backyard. So just wanted to put that out there. That's how I feel. I would love to hear what your comments are, even if you don't like what I have to say, even if you hate me, or if you love me. Please share your thoughts, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.